In 2015, a cherished couple from Cobb County, Georgia, mysteriously disappeared after responding to an online advertisement. What began as a seemingly innocuous Craigslist transaction swiftly devolved into a harrowing ordeal as they fell victim to a sinister trap. For nearly a decade, their loved ones and the community were left in anguish, grappling with unanswered questions as the case grew cold, despite initial arrests and numerous legal hurdles. However, after years of uncertainty, the individual responsible for their heartbreaking fate has finally admitted guilt, bringing closure to a profoundly dark chapter. Bud and June Runyon were a beloved duo in Cobb County, Georgia. Bud, a proud Vietnam War veteran, held dear the memories of his military service, particularly his treasured 1966 Ford Mustang, an iconic vehicle he had acquired while stationed abroad. Upon retirement, Bud harbored a simple desire to locate another Mustang akin to the one he once owned, a means to rekindle the joy and nostalgia of his youth. June, his devoted wife of over 4 decades, stood steadfastly by his side, nurturing his dreams and aspirations. Together, they cultivated a life dedicated to uplifting others. In 1991, they established a ministry focused on aiding families in need, covering utility bills, providing groceries, supporting single parents, and distributing toys to children during the holiday season. Their benevolent efforts extended across several states, including West Virginia, Kentucky, and Alabama. They also cherished a Christmas Eve tradition of delivering refurbished bicycles to children in underprivileged neighborhoods, spreading joy to families in need. Yet, despite their renowned kindness and unwavering commitment to service, the couple's quest for a new Mustang would tragically alter the course of their lives. In January 2015, they placed a Craigslist ad in search of the classic car, unwittingly setting in motion the events that would lead to their untimely end. On January 15, 2015, Bud and June embarked on what they believed would be an exhilarating adventure, a road trip to McRae, Georgia, to meet a man who had advertised a 1966 Ford Mustang for sale on Craigslist. In the shadows of uncertainty, the whereabouts of Bud and June remained a mystery, casting a pall of anxiety over their family as days slipped by without any sign of them. Their daughter, Brittany Patterson, took swift action when the couple failed to return, promptly notifying the authorities. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation assumed control of the case, initiating an extensive search. Yet initial clues proved elusive. The couple's sudden disappearance was perplexing, leaving questions as to whether they had merely lost their way or if a darker fate awaited them. A significant turn of events occurred 4 days later when their vehicle was discovered submerged in a lake near McRae. This grim revelation confirmed the family's worst fears. Bud and June had not simply wandered off, they had fallen prey to a heinous crime. Tragically, their bodies were located in a nearby wooded area, both victims of gunshot wounds to the head, dispelling any notion of an accidental demise. Authorities swiftly redirected their focus to the couple's last known contacts. They had been in communication with a man named Ronnie J. Towns, who had responded to Bud's Craigslist advertisement for a 1966 Mustang. Towns, who presented himself as the seller, quickly emerged as the primary suspect. Investigators uncovered that Bud and June had traveled to Telfair County following their conversation with him, only to find no vehicle awaiting them. Further scrutiny revealed Towns' troubling criminal history, although no direct connection to the Runyons had been established before this incident. In the immediate aftermath of the tragic events, Towns was briefly detained, yet insufficient evidence led to his release without charges. The investigation appeared to stagnate as the Georgia Bureau of Investigation grappled with the mounting complexities of the case. In 2017, a pivotal moment arose when an indictment against Towns was dismissed, as a trial court determined that the grand jury selection process had been improperly conducted, plunging the case into a state of legal uncertainty. The family, heartbroken by the protracted delays, found themselves in a prolonged wait for the justice they so desperately sought. In 2020, the case took a dramatic turn when Towns faced re-indictment. However, the onset of the global pandemic significantly delayed court proceedings, leaving the pursuit of justice seemingly interminable. Then, in July 2024, an astonishing development emerged from an unexpected source: a magnet fisherman. While casting his line in a river near Atlanta, he unearthed a .22 caliber rifle along with the Runion IDs, prompting investigators to revisit the site. Just 2 days later, they uncovered additional belongings of the victims, including credit cards and a cell phone. This pivotal evidence proved essential in finally advancing the case toward resolution. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation leveraged this newfound information to obtain a search warrant for Towns' residence, leading to the discovery of further incriminating items. As the investigation deepened, detectives pieced together a timeline of events as they believed they unfolded. Bud and June had been in contact with Towns, who had convinced them that the car he was offering was precisely what they desired. However, upon arriving at Towns' property, they were met not with a Mustang, but with a violent confrontation. Towns, having lured them under pretenses, had no intention of selling a vehicle. His true aim was to rob them. Following a rapid escalation, Towns shot both Bud and June at point-blank range. Raised on a farm along a secluded dirt road, Towns grew up in an environment where his parents cultivated pine trees and farmed soybeans, corn, and peanuts. At the age of 28, he had established a family of his own, including a wife and a young daughter. Towns' uncle, Buddy Town, expressed disbelief, stating, "It just does not make any sense why this would even go down. It is hard for his parents. They are not understanding." The combination of new physical evidence, along with prior interviews and DNA analysis, culminated in Towns' guilty plea on November 18, 2024. Their daughter, Stephanie Bishop, poignantly remarked, "I was hoping so hard to be able to call my dad, but they were taken from us." She further noted that despite the profound loss inflicted by Towns, her parents would have wished for him to seek forgiveness. Their other daughter, Brittany, shared her reflections on her father. "He always said that you cannot take wealth with you when you depart this world. You might as well indulge and savor it while you can." She continued, "He is a true survivor and a warrior, and I am certain he would have faced any challenge head-on to protect my mother." Their neighbor, Tom Murphy, remarked, "When someone lives their life in such a manner and then faces this, it truly tests one's faith." After delivering her verdict, Judge Wall explained to Towns the implications of her sentence in straightforward terms. He would spend the remainder of his life within the confines of the Georgia Department of Corrections. The long-sought justice for the Runion family had seemed an elusive dream for many years. Yet ultimately, the unwavering dedication of law enforcement and an unexpected breakthrough from a magnet fisherman provided the closure this case so desperately needed. In a serene residence nestled in Union County, Pennsylvania, an inconspicuous marriage would culminate in a harrowing tragedy. Myrle Evelyn Miller, a woman cloaked in mystery, orchestrated a life steeped in deception that ultimately led to the poisoning of her spouse. What commenced as a shared journey devolved into depleted bank accounts and a lethal dose of medication in a crime that defied all expectations. In 2012, Myrle Miller, then in her 70s, entered into matrimony with John Nichols, a retired union carpenter who believed himself to be financially stable, with substantial savings dispersed across various accounts. However, unbeknownst to John, Myrle had embarked on a calculated scheme to siphon funds from these accounts, writing checks and expending significant amounts under the pretense of ordinary marital expenses. She even discreetly funneled money to her son, cautioning him against revealing her actions to her husband. John remained blissfully ignorant of the financial turmoil until early 2018, when his family and investigators from the Union Snyder Agency on Aging raised alarms, suspecting Marin of financial exploitation and alerting the authorities. Although John initially expressed a willingness to assist, Marin swiftly persuaded him to dismiss the inquiry. On April 14, 2018, merely 9 days after the agency commenced its investigation, John Nichols tragically passed away in his home. His death was initially attributed to natural causes, linked to his pre-existing heart condition, until an autopsy unveiled the presence of a lethal dose of verapamil, a heart medication prescribed to Marin but not to John. As investigators probed deeper into John's financial affairs, they unearthed evidence of Marin's methodical theft, with bank statements revealing drained accounts, overdrafts, and even a staggering $119,000 loan taken against John's life insurance policy. The accounts from John's family revealed a harrowing narrative of seclusion and manipulation, with Marin preventing him from engaging with relatives during the last months of his existence. The combination of Marin's financial exploitation and the toxicology findings led prosecutors to assert that she had orchestrated her husband's demise to silence him and safeguard her deceitful schemes. In May 2021, 3 years following John Nichols' passing, Marin Miller was apprehended and charged with first-degree murder, fraud, theft, and various related offenses. During the 2023 trial, prosecutors contended that Marin's conduct was both calculated and chilling. Testimonies from witnesses, including an investigator from the Agency on Aging and members of John's family, illuminated her manipulative nature and insatiable greed. Marin's defense argued that John had willingly participated in the financial decisions and that his death was a tragic accident, attributing it to his declining health and dementia. However, the evidence of financial exploitation and the intentional procurement of verapamil proved to be overwhelmingly incriminating. The prosecution also brought to light Marin's troubling history. In 1988, she had been acquitted of attempting to poison her first husband by spiking his beverages, drawing unsettling parallels to John's untimely end. Additionally, she was linked to the mysterious disappearance of her grandson, Corey Edkin, in 1986, although no charges were ever filed in that instance. In April 2023, after a week-long trial, a jury found Marin Miller guilty on all counts, including first-degree murder. During sentencing, the courtroom resonated with poignant victim impact statements from John's family, who characterized Marin as malevolent and devoid of compassion. The judge sentenced her to life imprisonment for the murder, along with additional time for her financial transgressions. At the age of 78, she is poised to spend the remainder of her life incarcerated. After years of depleting her husband's resources, Marin Miller resorted to murder, convinced that violence was her sole means of escaping the intricate web of deceit she had woven. In March 2024, she petitioned for a retrial, asserting that the evidence presented was insufficient to warrant a guilty verdict. The ruling on her appeal remains under consideration. In a serene suburban residence in DeSoto, Texas, a family's harrowing ordeal unfolded behind closed doors, one that would take years to unravel. Simon Montalvo mysteriously disappeared, but it was only when a body was unearthed outside his home, concealed beneath a pile of rocks, that the true extent of the horror began to emerge. What ensued was a relentless quest for answers that spanned over 7 years, leading authorities across international borders. Maria Leonor Montalvo and Simon Montalvo resided in DeSoto, Texas, with their 2 young sons. Their relationship was reportedly fraught with tension, marked by incidents of domestic violence. In 2012, Maria faced misdemeanor assault charges after an altercation, in which she allegedly hurled a metal pot holder at Simon's head. However, following her completion of a domestic violence intervention program, the charges were ultimately dismissed. Despite this troubling history, the couple continued their life together, and by 2013, they appeared to be entrenched in a strained yet familiar routine. Simon, aged 44, was reported missing by his brother in late April 2013 after he had not been seen for over a week. On May 4, 2013, after weeks of growing concern, the brother returned to the family home in DeSoto and made a chilling discovery. While attempting to install a camera, he was struck by a foul odor emanating from the backyard. Upon investigation, he uncovered a pile of rocks along the fence, which, when moved, revealed a black bag containing Simon's lifeless body. He promptly alerted the authorities. Investigators confirmed that Simon had been shot 6 times, with 2 bullets striking the back of his head. A thorough examination of the residence revealed bloodstains throughout the master bedroom and hallway, along with 3 bullet holes in the bedroom wall, indicating a violent end and suggesting involvement from someone within the household. As the investigation deepened, it became apparent that the couple's 2 sons were mysteriously absent. In 2013, she was indicted for a grave crime, yet she managed to elude capture, leaving authorities in a relentless pursuit. It was not until May 2020, during an attempt to cross the border from Mexico into San Diego, that Maria Leonor Montalvo was finally apprehended. On May 19, 2020, more than 7 years after the tragic loss of Simon, she was arrested at the age of 48 and promptly booked into the Dallas County Jail, facing charges that would change her life forever. Her bail was set at a staggering $500,000. Maria had evaded justice for nearly a decade, but her capture brought a bittersweet sense of relief to Simon's family, who had tirelessly sought accountability. The arrest stirred a complex mix of emotions. While it offered closure to Simon's loved ones, it also underscored the profound impact of her actions on their 2 sons. These children, already grappling with the heart-wrenching loss of their father, faced an irrevocable shift in their relationship with their mother, who had not only taken their father's life but had also fled the country. In the wake of this tragedy, the Montalvo family united to support the children, assuming the mantle of guardianship. This case stands as a poignant reminder of the far-reaching consequences of domestic violence, not solely for the victims but also the innocent children ensnared in its wake. For Maria, her arrest marked merely the commencement of a protracted legal journey, yet the scars inflicted upon her family were indelible. During her sentencing on February 4, 2023, the judge condemned her actions as absolutely selfish, highlighting the profound anguish she inflicted upon her children. Ultimately, Maria was sentenced to 25 years in prison. For Simon's family, true justice lies in the hope of restoring their lives, an endeavor that remains forever altered in the shadow of such a devastating tragedy. Raina Angelica Marroquin, a Salvadoran woman, met a tragic end in the United States in 1969. Her murder remained shrouded in mystery until 1999, when her remains were discovered in the former residence of Howard B. Elkins, a notable businessman who emerged as the primary suspect. Following a police interview, Elkins took his own life in the back seat of a Ford Explorer at a friend's residence in Boca Raton, Florida. On September 2, 1999, authorities unearthed a 55-gallon drum in the crawl space of a house in Jericho, New York, a suburb of New York City. Inside, they found the mummified remains of a pregnant Hispanic woman in her late 20s, standing between 4 feet 9 inches and 5 feet 0 inches tall, distinguished by her unusual dental work. The forensic investigation revealed that the cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. The drum also contained an array of peculiar items, including polystyrene pellets, 2 rings, one engraved with MHR, a locket inscribed, "To Patrice Love Uncle Phil," green dye, a plastic artificial plant stem, and an address book. This drum, manufactured in 1965 for dye transportation, bore markings indicating it had been shipped to Melrose Plastics, an artificial flower company in Manhattan that was partially owned by Howard B. Elkins, the previous owner of the Jericho property. Elkins divested from Melrose Plastics in 1972 and relocated to Boca Raton, Florida, with his wife. Under infrared light, some pages of the deteriorated address book became legible, revealing a social security number on the first page that belonged to Raina Angelica Marroquin, a 27-year-old immigrant from El Salvador who had worked as a nanny and was employed at the Melrose Plastics factory on East 34th Street. Additionally, a phone number in the book was traced to Kathy Andrade, a friend of Marroquin. Upon being contacted, Andrade disclosed to the police that Marroquin had been involved in an extramarital affair with Elkins, but had grown fearful of him after confiding in his wife, Ruth, about their relationship. Andrade visited Marroquin's apartment in New Jersey, only to discover it vacant, with no sign of Marroquin since her disappearance. A woman resembling Marroquin was later seen with a young child at Melrose Plastics, where employees jested that the child's father was none other than Elkins. When detectives questioned Elkins, he displayed a lack of cooperation. They informed him of their intention to collect his DNA for comparison with that of the fetus discovered within Marroquin. Tragically, the following day, September 10th, 1999, Elkins was found deceased in the rear seat of a neighbor's vehicle, having succumbed to a self-inflicted gunshot wound from a 12-gauge Mossberg 500 shotgun, which he had purchased at Walmart earlier that same day. Subsequent DNA analysis confirmed Elkins as the father of the fetus. Investigators suspect that Elkins either visited Marroquin's apartment or enticed her to the factory, ultimately leading to her demise. He is believed to have transported her body to a residence in Jericho, perhaps intending to dispose of it in the ocean using his boat. However, after filling a barrel with plastic pellets to ensure it would sink, he found it too cumbersome to move and abandoned it in the crawl space. Writer Oscar Corral traveled to San Martin, San Salvador, where Marroquin's 95-year-old mother recounted a dream in which she saw her daughter trapped inside a barrel,